August 31st, 8:40 a.m. Hope everybody's having a good morning. I just wanted to look at I'm looking at making sure that this is my feed's okay. Looks like it is. Great. All right, let's get into those markets. All right, let's start off with the daily chart of the SPX. Another big sell off yesterday. Was unexpected from part of my plan, but you cannot prepare for news catalysts. Okay? You can't prepare for those news catalysts. So that's why there was a bigger move than expected from me. We did go to a place that I thought it would go if we did break key levels, right? So I'm going to get right into really quickly why. I'm going to get in very quickly of why we sold off. Okay? Give me one sec here while I pull this up. Okay. So yesterday we got news at 10 a.m. that consumer confidence was better than expected, and the JOLTS jobs openings were better than expected. Okay, that is not good. That's good news when the economy and we're not going to go into recession and we have a hawkish Fed. However, that is bearish in our current economy and a current market because we want these numbers to soften, right? Because this just tells the Fed to be more hawkish going forward. That's what that basically. It's the reverse. So this is like, okay, great. Consumer confidence is that high, and job openings have increased. So we're supposed to be softening the labor market, right? We're supposed to be softening it. So that if the Fed sees this, it's just going to make them continuously be more hawkish, right? And they're not going to pivot and start softening, start easing anytime soon, right? This is going along with the plan what Powell's saying, right? So, and there's a lot of Fed speak too, and they keep reiterating the same message. Inflation's not going down, and we're going to continue and raise the Fed funds rate to a target, I think, of 4 point something percent or something like that, right? So that's not helping these numbers. The unemployment numbers, the employment numbers, these confidence numbers are just not. We need those numbers to be negative in order for us to just seeing the, you know, in the current economy, they want the labor market to soften. They don't want these numbers to be high. That's how we, start to know that these interest rates are causing some softening, right? So it's kind of bearish. I just wanted to point that out in case anybody wanted to know why there was such a big drop, right? Because that's a news catalyst that you know. Also, I know a good friend of mine, Rosita, told me about us supplying aid to Taiwan, which is not good either. Um, so that also is in there as a news catalyst. All right, enough of that. Let's go back into the charts. All right, so now that I described why we went down, let's go where we landed. Okay, let me get my trusty marker. Okay, alrighty. So we broke the 50, smashed through the 50-day moving average, that white line, obliterated it. Okay, and we broke the 50% retracement. All right, that was like, wow, cut right through it, came right down to the 50, cut through that, and then found some buyers. Okay, That's the story in the SPX, SPY, whatever you want to call it. Let's look at the Qs. All right, Qs had a more direct hit about like finding a level. Okay, so I've had this trend line for a while now here, right? Beauty about trend lines is that in support and resistance, when you're right, you draw them correctly or whatever, they're very powerful. So where did we come down to? Look at that. Look at that resistance from that uptrend line, almost to the tick, right? But what was it also? 298.46 was prior support here, and also resistance here, but then support. Okay, so we came down to it, hit it, and bounced off of it. Still cut through the 50 moving average. All right, so that's a pretty big move after a big move. I had one doji day and have another big move because of a news catalyst, right? News catalysts move the market, ignore technicals. So, but not fully, because where do we come to this big level here? Okay, let's look at our good friend the TNX, the 10-year yield. All right, so TNX is still holding up here. Looks like we're pushing higher today. Okay, remember, that's a macro leading indicator. Okay, this usually predicts what equities will do. So I wouldn't say go all out shorting it just because we're going higher, but it definitely means that we're probably headed lower. How far, I don't know, but keep that in mind. It's very important to keep your eye on that. Okay. Okay, let's go over to the futures and the market profile. I have some things I want to show everybody about that. Give me 1 second here. Very important things in the market profile that I want to show you guys. All right, give me 1 sec. Okay, so let's see. We can recap a little bit of what we did yesterday from the market profile. Okay, so yesterday saw the big gap. We were gapping higher at one point, and I saw that was like, I knew this isn't gonna last, so it didn't, and we sold off. We went all the way down with that news, right? And we opened. I'm sorry, we closed here in the overnight. So let me start again. I was confusing that. Okay, so this was yesterday's overnight. Let's just go over that over. We were at one point this high. Well, I'm just licking my chops for the short there, but it wound up. The longs got liquidated already, so we settled here in the overnight, and then we opened here, right? A little test higher, but then just wham, big selling, right? Big selling. And when you have those big selling, okay, it's what I've talked about, is you have single prints. Now you can see my market profile automatically makes these white boxes for single prints, but I also put this box here for myself to see that single prints. Okay, that's emotional selling. Here we got it here too. Okay, that's emotional. That's just ripping down. That's not two-sided trading, ripping it down. And so when that happens, there's not a lot of resistance there. If we can revisit there, okay, then one or two things happens. We can cut right through it like a hot knife through butter, because it's just not good foundation. Okay, I just want to point that out. It doesn't mean that, oh yes, if we do it, we're gonna rip right through it, but it happens a lot when you have single prints. Okay, that's just a market profile terminology, but it just means what it actually means is there's no other price went through this area. We didn't come back through this area at all. It's been unvisited. It just ripped. Okay, it's very important. That's why I love market profile. I can look at that, and the market profile already shows me, okay, we got single prints here, we got single prints here, and then I'll know if we revisit those areas that it's possibility that we just rip right through it, because there's not going to be resistance there. Okay, doesn't but I've seen it plenty of times where it just rips right through the single prints, but then I've seen it go into the middle of the single prints and find it. So I'm not saying that's just an all-out long. I'm just giving you that it shows you that emotional buying and selling, right? So even on the reverse side, if it was if it was buying single prints, right, same thing. There's not much support. So I just wanted to point that out. So we had the big sell-off, right? Came down, find buyers here. Okay. So now what are we doing, right? And then we kind of balanced off the rest of the day and made it, right here. So like I said, what happened is value now for the week moved lower. 39.86 now is the most traded price for the week. Okay. You can see the composite profile here has value being built out lower, right? So that's just confirming the market's accepting these prices lower. Now, you can see this with candlesticks, obviously, too, if it's holding below level. I just like to see it with value because it's just easier to see. I can look at it right away and go, oh, all right, the most traded price moved down lower. All right, this is pretty much a huge price, right? So now, I don't want to get too much into the weeds with acronyms for market profile, but there is a lot of them. So this is called a prominent POC. Okay, it just means that price traded a lot of times through this area yesterday. So prominent POCs get revisited. They usually get revisited. Okay, so and then obviously they're a tipping point. So POC stands for point of control. It's just a tipping point. It just means that this line could be a bear bull line for right now. We start going below it, probably expect lower prices. We start going above it. I wouldn't call this a market that's going to go rip higher, but maybe we balance above it a little bit. I'm just showing you that's what it means when it's so prominent. Okay, prominent just means it's very strong. Like, see this build out here? That's very fat. Okay, most likely we tag this again. Okay, and it's going to go into my plan later, and I'll explain to you later. Okay, so right now, overall, what do we got? Here's yesterday's range. Here's yesterday's midpoint. Some people call it overnight. Some people call it half back. Same thing, 50%, right? So Fibonacci is a 50%, uses 50%. All that means is the move that happened yesterday, we're at the 50% of this move. Where's price? Right here. Right at the midpoint of yesterday's session. Okay, so normally when you are in the middle of yesterday's session, okay, and not only are we in the middle, like not only we're inside the range. Here's the overnight range. Here's the yesterday's session, RTH session, right? We're in the middle of yesterday's session, and price is at the middle, at the 50% line of yesterday's move. So what I'm going to tell you right now is this is pointing to balance today. This is pointing to balance. Okay, we're basically accepting this move from yesterday, and this points to balance. This points to balance. Even the profile in the overnight is very bell curvy, and here's the most traded price. So that's even balanced. Okay, so if the market was strong overnight, let's say this was real buyers coming into the market, you would have ripped these single prints and we'd be up here, or maybe even gapping higher, right? But we're not. That's a key, right? That's a sign. That's market generating information that we're getting. You know, where the buyers are not in this market right now. Sell the rip right now, okay? Especially with that TNX showing us something, okay? So that's what I'm showing you there. And it's not going to much be different from the NASDAQ when we go to the NASDAQ. Let's go to the NASDAQ, okay? Let's look at that. Here's yesterday's range. Now, NASDAQ is a little stronger this morning, okay? It's a little stronger. A lot stronger, actually. It's like almost double. It's up like 80%. 0.8%, I'm sorry. So, the NASDAQ, here's yesterday's high, here's yesterday's low. Overnight high, overnight low. Okay, we're inside yesterday's session. Okay, we're inside. Now value has moved lower in the NASDAQ. It actually hasn't moved as low as the ES. But here's the most traded price of the week now. Okay, that's a key area now for the NASDAQ. Okay, can we stay below that? Right, we stay below that, that's very bearish. Okay, so same thing, high, low of yesterday, and we're inside yesterday's range right now for the overnight. A little stronger, right? Here's the midpoint of NASDAQ, and here's price here. Tiny stronger, okay? But we have single prints. Single prints are here, right here. So like I said, buyers are super strong. We better rip these single prints up. And you would want to see us moving above this price here, the most traded price. But that's not what's happening, okay? So I still see balance for today. Now, that's just what I see based off what I'm seeing now. I could be wrong, but generally I'm not. And that's not being cocky. That's being what I've seen plenty of times, how overnight sessions will let you know most likely what's in store for today. All right. So let's move over. Let's see here. Let's move over to the 60 minutes futures chart. Let me just pull that up. I'm going to show you some key levels. Okay. Okay, let's look at this here, okay? So, as far as candlesticks go, you can see, obviously, we see the big move yesterday. Also, you can see, anybody can see this, you got a bear flag going here. Okay, that's a pattern we can see. Everybody can see that. Okay. So what happened yesterday was we broke these key levels that I had yesterday, 40.27, 40.15. That was my key levels yesterday. That got smashed here and here. We broke them, we came down. Okay, we came down. And I'll explain this in a second. I'll get back to it. But you see this volume right here? That's why we stopped here too. Okay, but I'll get into that a little later. Okay, so what am I looking at now? So there's a couple key levels that happened. That was a key level yesterday, and now it's a key resistance level now. See, overnights tried to come up here a couple times. 1, 2, 3. They found sellers. It's resistance now. Support comes resistance. That's 40, 15, 25 in the ES futures. Okay, what's support now? So we came down here. We couldn't get any lower. Started forming some support right here, right here. Double bottomed here in the overnight. Okay, so 39.80 is a key level of support. Okay, market's going to get weak. We break this, probably revisit yesterday's lows, maybe the demand zone down here to this level, 39.53. Okay, so those are the key levels I'm looking at. Now, I do have a supply zone that's formed here, okay, in the overnight as well. It's very key level, okay. Let's look over at the NASDAQ. Okay, so let's review the NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ doesn't have, it's a little higher up than the ES. Doesn't look as the bear flag doesn't look as beautiful as the ES does. Again, I'm not putting weight into that at all. I'm just pointing it out. Okay, so what did we do yesterday, right? 124.71 was a key level of support that got ripped yesterday. Okay, now let's look what's happening here. Came up to it, found resistance 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's been resistance 5 times. Okay, now if we get some strength, we could break that. I don't know, but it's been knocked on that door 5 times. You know, in this market, I wouldn't be surprised if a 6th time it gets selling, but I'm just pointing that out as a key level now. Okay, that support became resistance now. That's 124.71. All right, let's go to the other side. We got 123.47 is support now. 3 times found support here overnight. Or that might not have been overnight. Hold on a second. Let me see. Yeah, that was overnight. It's 5 o'clock. Okay. Stand. My original, what I was saying was correct. Okay. And then we got the low. Here was put in. That hit a support level too. And that's 122.64. You can see my trend line here too that I drew on the futures chart also was supportive. Okay. So the one quick thing I wanted to show you guys about the volume profile, composite volume profile, very quickly before I go into the plan, just to show you how easy it is to look at these volume profiles and just to see, oh, that's why we stopped there. Like, oh, all right, yeah, I have my levels. I have my 50% fib. I have my support level. I had a trend line. But let's say you had none of those and you just use volume profile. So give me 1 second. I'll pull this up really quickly. So let's just say you had volume profile. You had nothing else. You didn't use anything. And I know a lot of people who don't use anything but volume profile, market profile, because profile does show you support and resistance. I don't explain that a lot, but it does show you those things. So I'm going to show you guys one of my favorite charts here, okay? I'm going to show you really quickly on what I'm talking about. Because I always talk about most traded price, which is very powerful, right? Okay. But what I don't talk about a lot is just from the profile. Just from the profile, okay? These low volume nodes are called LVN. You would hear that. See how there's like a chasm here? Okay. What that means is that's support and resistance. You don't even need to look at the chart. I know support is here. If price is not, or it's resistance if we're below it. I already know that. Now if you look here, I don't have to look at the chart. I know that's support and resistance, but let's just go look, right? Let's go look over here. What's here? Look. There's support here. With the candlesticks, you can see it. You can see resistance here. Right? So how you look at that, this will just tell you. Profile just tells you, oh, that's a support and resistance. Oh, this is support and resistance. Oh, that's support and resistance. And look, if you just keep following my mouse over here, what do you have? You have support here. It's like the coolest thing to me, because you can literally just look at the profile and go, oh, support and resistance, support and resistance. And then if you have a large node like this, okay, if we come up to that, we're stopping, right? So last thing here, why did we stop here? Okay, why did we stop here? Why did price stop right here? Look to the left, and the most traded price of these weeks in, I believe they were from July and August. Okay, but the most traded prices were right here of those 2 weeks. Look where we stopped. Price stopped right here. So it's just crazy because I don't have to look at the candlesticks. I can go, oh, why do we stop here? Okay, these are the most traded prices of the week, those 2 weeks. So that's going to be supportive if we come down here, and that's why we stopped in the profile. Okay, I know I showed you the levels on the chart, which we got the 50% fib, and we had the in the Qs we have the trend lines. I'm just showing you just with strictly profile. I can look at profile and go, oh, that's why we stopped there. Pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And I'll show you one last one, the NQ, which is a good example of the low volume node, which is going to be considered support. Right here, you can see it. You clearly see this big chasm. Okay, right here. Look at this chasm. That's a low volume node. It's really no volume there, right? That's because price has never built value out there. And look, if you go across the screen, it was resistance, resistance, support, support. And look, that's why we stopped there. With nothing else on my chart, I just need profile. And I know that, okay, if I'm just watching profile and I see this large chasm in here, I'm like, ooh, that could stop right there. That could be supportive. And it did. Pretty, I don't know. To me, that's so cool because you don't have to read anything. It just, the profile shows you. So I use those other levels. So I'm not saying I don't, but I can quickly look at this profile and go, oh, okay, price could stop there. That's a very deep low volume them. Just wanted to show you guys that. I hope you guys appreciate what I'm showing you because profiles just like it just makes everything easier to see. Okay, doesn't mean you have to use it, just makes it easier to see. Okay, so I'm gonna go back. Let's go back and we'll wrap it up here with the market profile and what I'm seeing. Sorry if this is getting a little long. I just wanted to show you guys that. I thought that was very cool. And let's go to the market profile. Okay, give me one sec. All right, here we go. What I'm thinking today. Okay, so I'm seeing balance, so we already know that. I'm seeing balance. Okay, so what I could see happening is now prices here. We're at 4,006 right now. Okay, we're in a supply zone right now. Okay, what I see happening is this. Most likely, I see us coming up, pushing up to 40.15. Maybe even try to slightly going above it, find resistance again, come down here, balance a little bit, break this, come down to the most traded price, find some support here, come down to 39.80, that overnight lows, break that. And I think that we go down to yesterday's lows and we find buyers again and we balance out. Okay, and why I'm saying that, right? So that scenario, why am I saying that? So this is why. Okay, here in the overnight is the most traded price right here. So you have longs here. Okay, this is the most traded price from yesterday and the most traded price of the week. So overnight is pretty much majority of it's long. Okay, so the majority of the overnight is long. So when we come down, we're gonna these longs are going to have to cover. They're going to have to liquidate. If we come down and we come down to this most traded price, again, these longs from the open and overnight and yesterday's most traded price will have to liquidate, which would make us break this level. Okay, we could possibly touch down the demand zone, but I see this, right? I see us because my overall thesis is balanced today, aside a catalyst news event that I can't predict. Okay, so that's what I see as scenario, most likely scenario one. Okay, now if we're going to look at a little more of a bullish scenario, is I think we could maybe sell off the open, come over here, balance out, find some buyers, come up here, break this level 40.15, kind of balance here, and then I think this is not likely, I'm just saying, but I think this is technically what would happen. We would then cut through these single prints. Remember, this is emotional selling here, and I think we hit supply and we get rejected, and we go right back down. And I would say, I'm not saying, I would say we balance somewhere in here. Okay, again, that's a bullish move higher, but I still think it's balanced, right? Because I want to make sure that I feel like we're going to balance still. Okay, I don't see big move happening except the news catalyst that I can't predict. Okay, and if you wanted like a very bearish move, which I don't see, I don't really see that. We could open here, come up, fail, like I said, come down here to most traded price, rip that, come up here to this price 39.80, come down here, take out yesterday's lows, come down to the demand zone, pop out of it, and hit 39.53, break that lower. That's if it's super bearish. Okay, that's if it's super bearish. Now, I don't want to take a lot more of you guys' times. Market's going to open at 9:30. My scenario doesn't change much for the Nasdaq. Okay, scenario does not change. Just to look at the Nasdaq. Nasdaq's at the overnight highs right now. Right here. Nasdaq's at the overnight highs. So, and we have single prints. Right? Those are those emotional selling from yesterday that don't offer much resistance. Okay, if we go higher, but we still haven't broke this supply zone. Okay, and this is actually showing a possible fade off the open. Okay, because price is at the highs. Okay, and the most traded price overnight in the Nasdaq is here at about 124.40. So consider those longs. Okay, and consider the whole overnight long. So this is kind of now where price is now. This is kind of setting up for a fade in my belief. I believe maybe a possible fade here, because this is also that key level I talked about, 124.71. So what I can see happening, okay, for the fade and for most likely what I think will happen is I can see us push higher, take out the overnight highs, take out this level that I'm talking about, and we can't get too much higher. Maybe even reach 125.28. Maybe even reach it. I don't think so, but maybe. Okay, we find sellers, dip back under here, come back up to this level, find sellers, find it become resistance again, and then we go straight back down, hit 123.47, take out the overnight lows, come down to yesterday's most traded price of 123.20, and we balance. Okay, Nasdaq's gone higher than the ES. Okay, so I see a kind of like a steeper decline. Okay, you can see here in the profile that price, if this is the session price in the Nasdaq's here, right? This is the ES overnight. price is here. It's more in the middle of the range, which is more at the top of the range. I see the fade being an easier trade on the NASDAQ, okay? So let's see what happens, okay? I'm not going to give any more scenarios, because now I will give one more, okay? What I do seeing, if there is a bull case, if there's a bull case to be made, which mean bull, I just mean, we could push higher. I still don't think anything major is going to happen besides the news catalyst. So what could happen? I could see us coming in 124.71, finding sellers, finding some support here, and then we come up again, break it, find some resistance at 124.20, break that, and here's the big level. The most traded price of the week is 125.63. What I think happens, we pop our heads above it, we can't, and we fall right back. And then we balance. I think this level is very key, 125.63. That's the bull bear line right now for the NQ. Not all out bullish, but that would be a bullish, short-term bullish move if we can accept over it. Okay. But the fade, I think, is really in the cards for the NASDAQ. And if you don't know what fade means, I'm just saying you short the open. And again, I'm not telling you guys to do that. I'm not a financial advisor, but that is the most likely. And right now we're showing some more strength, right? So this move I just drew could happen, but we'll see. We'll see. We're still in the middle of yesterday's range. But remember I told you about these single prints here. If price gets a lot of volume, we could push right up there quickly. But then I don't think I think we fall back. So we'll see. Sorry today's a little lengthy in the video. I hope everybody can take something from what I'm saying. Maybe it might have been long-winded today. I wish everybody good luck. Please comment, subscribe, give me a like. Any questions? I'd love to answer the questions. That'd be great. So, and I wish everybody good luck today. I hope everybody makes some money. And I will see you guys tomorrow morning.